Hello, I'm Christopher Herring. I'm the Executive Director of Global Chamber San Antonio. I also work with the steering group with Global Chamber Texas. Today, we have a very outstanding Globinar that has been set up for you because during this COVID-19, we have seen changes in how we do business. Today's this topic is addressing safe traveling and in particular between US and Mexico. But let me just say this, for all of you business travelers, take good notes today because really the information that we're going to provide you today will help you to prepare in your journey moving forward, as nothing is going to be the same and there will be so many changes that you really need to have good information. We'll also be able to share more with you on globalchamber.org. Global Chamber is a great chamber. We have Globinars. We're able to give pertinent information to each of you about what's going on in the field of trade, international business. And today I want to quickly turn it over to our chair-elect for Global Chamber San Antonio, Jorge Canavati. This man here has had an illustrious time of service working with international businesses. His company is J. Canavati and Company. He's an agency that represents logistics and international trade. He has, as I said, 30 years of experience in international trade, multimodal transportation, air cargo, and logistics. He's the author of various articles, and he's a prolific writer as well as a teacher. He serves on a number of international boards, and I wanted to say that not only does he really put his heart into his service, but we do serve on a board together that is actually a part of Global Chamber San Antonio, which is called the San Antonio Council for International Visitors. Well, our chair-elect was just named as our international leader for 2020, and we'll be celebrating Jorge Canavati on October 28th, 2020. So I just want to give my chair-elect a round of applause, and I want to say to each of you in San Antonio that we have great leadership. The Texas State Secretary of State also recognized Mr. Canavati previously for his work, and so there's a lot of things to say about him, but I'm going to now turn over the microphone to Mr. Canavati. And again, I want all of you who are first time here to go to globalchamber.org and please look at our events calendar. Our events include more Globinars all around the world. We will have this webinar recorded and we'll share it so that you can help to share the message of what we're promoting, which is basically to help your businesses soar, especially during the COVID-19. Jorge.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you very much. Too much, but I am always here to serve the chamber and our community, but thank you so much for that introduction. One of the things I'm most proud of is that I am on the Mayor's Airport Systems Development Committee. I was appointed by Mayor Nuremberg precisely to support the future of the airport. And as you know, we're going through this challenge right now, but we're going to get through it. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. Christopher explained the reason why we're having this webinar, or this Globinar, as we call it in the chamber. But there is also one important item that I was discussing with Jenks from AeroMexico, with whom you will be hearing in a moment, is the fact that there has been a lot of confusion when the U.S. government and the Mexico government agreed to close the border. They were talking about the land border. We don't have land borders as we travel by air, which has been open from day one. So this webinar is also to clarify that you can safely travel to and from Mexico with, of course, certain protocols in place, and of course with the support of our prestigious San Antonio airport. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like to recognize former Mexico City Congressman Agustin Vargas Gomez, who just sent us a message. He is listening in live from Mexico City. He's a friend that I appreciate, and cherish this friendship very, very much. Thank you, Augustine, for being here. I would like to introduce, I have the privilege of introducing Tom Bartlett, the Deputy Director of the City of San Antonio Aviation Department. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tom. Right now, in May of 2017, Tom Bartlett joined the City of San Antonio as Deputy Director for the San Antonio Airport System. Tom exercises broad authority for overseeing airport operations, maintenance, airport safety, security, aircraft rescue and firefighting, terminal and passenger services, capital improvement projects, air service development, and parking ground transportation through the assistant directors for the San Antonio Airport System. Tom has highly diverse credentials in airport and aviation management, as demonstrated by his 40-plus years of experience. He previously served as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Avport. Prior to this position, Tom served as Chief Operating Officer at Stewart International Airport in Newburgh, New York. Mr. Bartlett was also Chief Operating Officer for the airport operator at Juan Santa Maria International Airport in San Jose, Costa Rica. Before that, he spent 26 years at Houston Airport System, my old haunts, rising to airport manager at Bush Intercontinental Airport, and then to Chief Operating Officer of Houston Airport System for 7 years. Mr. Bartlett also spent 2 years with U.S. Airways. Tom and his wife have 4 grown children and 3 grandchildren. Tom has a Bachelor of Science, Aeronautical Studies, and Associate Degree Aviation Management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautic University in Florida. He's part of the American Association of Airport Executives. He's a certified member, commercial pilot, instrument pilot license, advanced instrument ground instructor licenses, and certified flight instructor. What a privilege, Tom. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Jorge, for the introduction and welcome. And Christopher and Jennifer and the rest of the participants, thank you. It's an honor to be presenting our, I think, a very successful story here at the Antonio International Airport. So thank you so much for that introduction.
My privilege.
Okay.
Can everyone see the, folks, can you see the screen? Can you see the,
Yes.
we're good. Okay.
Okay. Jorge, I don't know if you can do that to a full screen.
That's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Yes. There you go.
All right, perfect. And you can move on to the next slide, and I'll just cover kind of what our agenda is. That billboard or poster that we put on the side of the terminal, just as people approach, it just reminds them of some of the requirements and things, and we'll cover some more as we go forward. But anyway, some agenda items. We're going to talk about our airport stakeholder task force, our current activities and impacts of what we've been doing, restoring the customer and consumer confidence, and then just looking forward. You know, we're still moving through this pandemic, and we're making still strides as we continue moving forward. Next slide. Okay, we established a task force early on to really address a lot of the issues that we were facing. As we all know, they were very new to everybody. So we wanted to take a very proactive, holistic, and have a partnership. And that includes our airlines and any of the stakeholders currently at the airport, and of course the community and the general public. What we have done is paramount to everything we're doing with safety, is to take safety measures that will address and keep the confidence of the passengers flying through the airport. And we spent a lot of time doing that right after when we got into this pandemic exercise back in March. As you know, passenger traffic really reduced, and airline traffic had slowed down the flights, but we never closed. We were always open and welcoming, and glad to see passengers and the public coming through the airport. And we're ready to address this new normal. We have, and you'll see some precautions that we have taken throughout the terminal area. Next slide, please. We have, what we were looking at were 5 horizons or pillars to help address and to move forward. The first one was resolve, and that was to address our immediate needs. As things were occurring and happening, we had immediate needs and challenges, so we were addressing those as fast as we could to identify essential functions that we need to maintain, and then also looking at opportunities for our employees, whether they could or could not remote work. As I mentioned earlier, we have always stayed open. The airport has not closed. Resilience was some near-term kind of survival modes. We had to reevaluate our budget. We had to look at what our capital project program was, and we actually had to move some projects out and give them some different priorities. Again, just looking at what our revenue flow was and our financial situation. We reduced our temporary staffing. We had a lot of employees that we had on a temporary staff basis, probably as much through contract. And then also we froze our hiring. We just needed to, again, take a knee and look and see what positions we needed to continue or to fill, and we've done that. And then also spend an awful lot of time looking at the CARES funding that came through the CARES Act through the federal government. We received funds that we could help with our operating budget, and then also some of our capital budget as well. Return, it was returning the business, again, whatever that new normal is, but we wanted to be able to return and keep pace with the growth of the passenger traffic that we were seeing or starting to see and continue to see at this time. And I'll mention some things on that. Reimagination is looking at what the next new normal will be. We've got to, things are going to be different, and I think we all agree to that. The airport experience, through the airport experience, is going to be different, and I think you'll probably hear from Jennifer on the airline experience. It's all going to be different, and we're working through that and to make it, again, as seamless and transparent for passengers to flow through the airport. We're looking and trying to discover new best practices, some new activities out there that we're doing, such as in our parking lot. We've established where it's a touch-free experience, so you can get your ticket as you come into the parking. It's all touch-free. And then the reform is look at the lessons we've learned over the last, I guess it's almost 6 months now, all the lessons learned, and how can we implement and bring those lessons forward for the continued success. Next slide, please. There it goes. Okay, what this shows, this it shows what's a 7-day rolling average, and you can see in the red line is we're roughly 6% faster growth or return to traffic and growth than really what the rest of the nation is looking at. So a good success story here is, I think, in San Antonio, we're restoring the confidence of the passengers, and they're coming back to the number, and what that 60 that percentage reflects, that 64. That's a reduction from where we were, as you can see on the far left of the screen when we were back in March. The high number, see how quickly it dropped, and then over time we've been restoring that. We had a little bit of a blip. You can see on the month of July, it slowed down a bit. Actually, we dipped below what the national average. And those of you in San Antonio realize San Antonio had become a hot spot for just that short time. But you can see now we're really making a stride forward. And in today's numbers, I just looked at today's, that we're down compared to last year at this time, we're down 62%. So that 64 represents a 7-day rolling average, but we're I think pretty well ahead and on a good course where we're going now. And again, from yesterday to a year ago, we're down just 62% of total traffic. Next slide.
This is the fun slide.
Yeah. Also, I'll mention that, you know, at the low point of that number, I think we were seeing 400 passengers through the checkpoint, which would be the enplanements, those going through the TSA security. It was down in the 300, 400 range. On a normal day or a good day, it was usually 15,000 to 16,000. And right now we're hovering around that 5,000 to 6,000 mark. So it's again, we're really excited at those numbers and what you saw on that chart. So as those numbers are increasing, we're getting opportunities for a lot of our concessions to reopen. It got to a point that many of the concessions in Terminal A and B, they had to close. There was just really not enough passenger activity to justify the costs of operating any of those facilities. So it just hypothetically, if it would cost $100 a day to operate a facility and they were only making $10, $15, it just did not make sense. So, but now they are starting to open, and we're excited. The traffic's coming up, and we're getting more and more concessions again to help serve the public. Two of the brand new concessions is last year we had gone out with a new concession program for Terminal A. Smoke Shack just opened. It was on. It was August 10th. So about 3 weeks ago, Smoke Shack opened, and they're doing great business. And then the local coffee is another new concession in Terminal A. The others have been here, and they are slowly reopening, both in Terminal B and the remaining ones in A. So, and we expect over time, we're expecting more as we go. Next slide.
This is very good.
Sorry, this is exciting for us. This is, and we had a press release that had just come out yesterday. The Jenks light strike is a new piece of equipment that we were just able to purchase. And as you can see on the press release, it's the world's first. So this is a great unveiling of this with the global chamber. It's a new process, new system that's a light, UV light that will zap and destroy any of the bacteria and the coronavirus as well. So we're really excited. This equipment's been proven and tested primarily in hospitals for many years in the medical field, and now we're the first airport again in the nation and in the world to have this Jenks machine deployed. And it is a local San Antonio company who does provide this equipment. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, very good.
Tom,
Next
is
slide.
the San Antonio company, do they manufacture it here, or are they a distributor?
I believe it's manufactured here. Actually, I think very close to the airport.
Excellent.
Right here in San Antonio.
Excellent.
Yep. Yeah, we got really excited about being able to purchase that. Some other activities we're doing, again, the big thing is safety and restoring the customer confidence at all times at the airport. So we've developed a number of safety protocols and signage. Just an example, some of the pictures is in the passenger hold room, the area of just prior to getting on the aircraft. We've put these seat covers on to help social distancing, just to remind people, if you're going to sit in the hold room waiting for your aircraft departure, maintain that social distancing, and some seats are covered so you won't be seating too close to everybody. Hand sanitizers, you can see on that lower left picture, hand sanitizers, we've put well over 200 throughout the terminal facility. And if you walk through the terminal, you really, I don't think you'd ever have one that's out of sight. So right about it, I think Jennifer, she's kind of confirming with that it's a lot. Actually, it takes a lot of effort, because putting them out is one thing, but secondly is keeping them full. And that's the biggest thing too. Here's the confidence we're trying to build with everybody. The last thing we want anybody to do is go to a hand sanitizer and it be empty. So we have a full team of employees that are really, that's about their only assignment right now is on their shift is to go throughout the terminal to make sure these sanitizers are full. Also at the ticketing counters, the picture on the right side of the display, we put the plexiglass up on every ticket counter, and we have them on the hold room counters out by the where prior to boarding the aircraft. and there's some in the customs area as well, and the rent-a-car facility all have plexiglass barriers, and that was in well excess of 300 that we installed throughout the airport. Social distancing, we have the signage up there where the masks are required, facial masks required if you're coming in the terminal, and also maintaining social distancing. And you'll see on the floor, we have a lot of decals on the floor identifying, you know, the 6 foot recommended distance for everybody to maintain. So we've gone through all those efforts, and even those markers or decals on the floor, we have to change them out quite often. And again, it's a constant. Here's that new norm of just keeping hand sanitizers, decals, and signage and masks. And we also have the facial covering. If somebody comes in without one, if you're familiar with the airport, we have the ambassadors, and they all have masks that can be distributed. They're in individually wrapped packages. So passengers can, if they don't have a mask or want one, they can receive one from our ambassadors. And generally, most of the airlines all have masks at the ticket counters as well to encourage compliance with wearing the mask. And this will continue. Again, here's a new normal. We'll have masks available to hand out for anybody coming to the airport. Next slide. I think another thing that we've done is we've gone out on a lot of social media and outreach to let people know and publicize. And Jesus Saenz, the director of airports, has been on various broadcasts and podcasts and just taking care and messaging what we're doing. And I think that effort's been very, very successful. And kind of what we're saying is fly easier, fly confident, fly SAT, fly San Antonio. It's a good experience and will be very enjoyable. Next slide. In advance, I'll apologize for this. We're expecting to have a video, just a short video showing of the customs facility for the passengers as they travel into San Antonio. You know, on AeroMexico, which happened to be one of the first, was the first airline to restore international service here. And this video is intended to really just help the traveler, and they pick it up on the social media just to get an idea what their experience coming into San Antonio internationally would be like. So we can go to the next slide, and that shows just some couple pictures of the international arrival, the customs. Moving.
Wonderful facility.
Yes, what a if those of you that when I had arrived San Antonio about 3 years ago, it was under construction, a lot of it. But if those of you are familiar with it, it was kind of dark, dreary, dingy, small, a little confined. And just these two pictures here really show how it got additional lighting, a new carousel for the baggage claim, and then also get queues and getting into the primary inspection. Part of the work that was done, it was probably over a 3 or 4 year period. It had to be phased in multiple phases because we did not want to cease or stop operation. So we had to work around the operation. And what some of the larger enhancements are for passengers to see: one, restrooms. They have been greatly enhanced and enlarged. So both restrooms are much better equipped with the facilities, and then also the processing. On the average, the facility was handling about 400 passengers an hour. Now it's up to 800. So just about as much, did double the capacity of throughput through the customs. So we're glad to have it online. It's really, they're just doing punch list items. It's still a little work going on, but it's essentially 99.9% completed, and the passengers will see a great experience coming through San Antonio now.
I'd like to add something. The customer service that one receives from CBP, Customs and Border Protection here, is like anywhere else before. The officers are wonderful people. They take care of you, and they really, you know, people get to CBP and they're usually scared, but here it's a wonderful experience. when you come home, you know. And it's not all airports are like that, much less the larger ones. This is a very unique airport that we have, and I commend you for that.
It is, yes. Well, thank you very much, and I'll certainly convey that down to the CBP folks. But yeah, we strive. A big thing is customer service from all fields. You know, from the time a individual arrives at the airport, whether they're coming in through the parking garage or being dropped off, they have that welcome environment. And right now, that's important for the airports. I mean, but now even a little bit more competitive for that, again, that consumer confidence. People have the confidence when they're at SAT, it's going to be a good experience from the moment a lot of times we say the experience really starts at home when you leave home to come to the airport. And then once you're at the airport and then leave the airport, we're trying to stay engaged in all those aspects. And again, looking at going forward, what is that? Sometimes I don't like that term, but the new normal. What's going to happen, and how do things look much in the future? And actually, looking at that one picture or left-hand side, you can see hand sanitizer, and you can't go far, even in customs, to see the hand sanitizers. We can go to the next slide. I think here what we were talking about, I did mention some contactless payments. You know, that was as much parking, and you'll see it even at the concessions. We're trying to, again, keep any contact, physical contact to bare minimum. Smart restrooms, we're looking at some technology there. That Xenix machine will and does go into the restrooms and can treat that with the ultraviolet light. So we're doing that, but there's some technology that can be leveraged too for the restrooms, where you'll be notified if there's a condition that needs attention by our crew here that would be going into the restrooms and cleaning them. So again, we want to be the premier airport. We want to be forward thinking, and we want to leverage technology where and when we can. Again, just addressing, the health and safety for everybody. We do right now temperature checks of our city employees coming to the airport, but we're also looking at some technology that you could have as you enter the terminal area for temperature checks. Looking at leveraging technology, but before, trying to be ahead of everything. So if it becomes more of a mandate or a recommendation, that we're ready and poised. So we're not trying to play catch up. So we're really spending the time there. Partner conversations, we're constantly on national conversations and talk with our partners in a couple of the airport organizations, the airlines, and other groups, just to make sure that we're TSA, CBP, any processes and programs they have, we're in constant contact to make sure any changes they're going to have to make to the facility, we're ready to adapt to that as well. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. Again, this is kind of the looking forward. We're just not going to sit still where we are now and say, okay, everything's fine. We're trying to be innovative and looking forward to, is there opportunities, and we've looked at it, for mobile ordering. Instead of a passenger having to go specifically to the concession, can they order at the hold room or the gate area, and then the food be delivered to them, or their order be delivered. So we're looking at that. Just exploring flexible use. So we're not using our surface and transporting people in the buses right now. Are there opportunities to serve the community with some flexible use? And the center pictures just showing a nice big parking lot. Do you show movies? Do you do something like that? So just trying to be innovative. And then again, just as I mentioned, maintaining the confidence. And you can see on this individuals at the ticket counter, and you can see the plexiglass shield protecting them between the passengers. So again, we're spending a lot of time and effort looking ahead and trying to pretty much stay ahead of everybody else. So on that last slide, that concludes my presentation, and you'll see again some of these banners that we did put out on It's on the side of the terminal, also on the side of one of the parking garages. Just reminding everybody that how to fly safe, fly confident, and fly San Antonio. The facial cover, hand sanitizers, as much as everything that we be boarding an airplane. And thank you very much. That's
We
concludes my
appreciate you.
presentation.
No, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. It is it's very important what your work, the team that you have, which I appreciate very much. I've known them for many years now, and the work that the airport's doing is unprecedented. We just saw that with the new Jenks machine, or the robot. You know, one more thing is where San Antonio International is located. It is in a gem. It's in a jewel part of the city where it gives you quick access to anywhere you want to go in the city and our surrounding communities. So that's a big plus as well. And we appreciate you very much, Tom. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, and thank you very
Any
much for the invite.
questions? We will. My pleasure. Our pleasure. We will have questions and answers at the end of the session. Right now, I'm going to invite Jenny Jenks to talk to us a little bit about the security protocols with the airlines. Once I figure out how to unshare the stop sharing. If I can read, I can do it. Before we go forward, I'd like to recognize Silvia Cawe from Toluca, the state of Mexico. She is the chairwoman for the Women Entrepreneurs Association of the state of Mexico. She is a close friend of San Antonio. She's a close friend of Mayor Nuremberg. She visits here very often. We visit with her very often in developing projects. We will obviously be developing projects with her organization and the Global Chamber. Welcome, Silvia, and welcome, Jenny. How are you, Jenny?
Thank you, Jorge. I'm glad to be here. Very happy to be participating today with all of you.
Oh, it's our privilege as always. You have a bio that's going to take me 3 hours to read, so I'll almost as much as Tom's actually.
You can shorten it.
Let me. Jenny Jenks works at AeroMexico. Thank you. No, this is. I'd love to share this. I've known Jenny for probably 15 years now, and we've done many projects together regarding Mexico. Many projects together with this wonderful airline that we've been involved with for many years as well. Jenny Jenks is the product specialist for AeroMexico Airlines U.S. sales, and she is the Delta AeroMexico Texas ambassador. Jennifer is a graduate from Trinity University in San Antonio and has been working for AeroMexico for the past 8.5 years. She began her career at AeroMexico overseeing the following Texas markets: Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. She helped AeroMexico inaugurate Dallas, Mexico service in 2012 and is also part of the leadership team that helped start air service between Austin and Mexico City as of November 2016. Her leadership is comprised of developing these markets to fulfill AeroMexico's sales objectives successfully, thus helping secure long-term viability for these routes and incremental passenger traffic between Texas cities and Mexico. In addition to the business development aspect of her job, she also managed global corporate accounts, SME accounts, and the relationship with local and national travel agencies supporting airline ticket sales on these routes. AeroMexico restructured its sales division in the U.S. in November 2018, where Jennifer was promoted to product specialist for Central Region of the United States, maintaining her role as Texas ambassador in the Delta AeroMexico Joint Cooperation Agreement Alliance. Due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, her role has been expanded to national coverage of the U.S. In her current role, she's focused on the implementation of strategic plans for region active community engagement. Jenny began her career, she works very closely with the consulates, the consulates general of Mexico throughout Texas. She's also on the board of the San Antonio, Mexico Friendship Council, my fellow board member, and which is anchored, by the way, by the Consulate General of Mexico. She began her career at AeroMexico November 16, 2011. She previously worked for Mexicana Airlines for 24 years in diverse roles that included call center management, international marketing, and sales management in Texas. Again, she graduated from Trinity with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration in '86 with a concentration in marketing. And San Antonio is her home. She's a dear friend, and I welcome her with open arms.
Thank you very much, Jorge. I'm really happy to be here. And again, thank you to the Global Chamber for providing this opportunity today to speak about travel. Really proud of being a San Antonian, and Tom, excellent presentation on the airport here in San Antonio. It's a truly remarkable airport, really. One of the things that I love the most, and I think our visitors love the most, is the car rental facility that it's right across the airport now, and the parking garage. I have to tell you that I think that has been a hit and a success with our visitors that come to visit this great city. So my role today, I think, I wanted to speak to all of you regarding travel because, like Jorge mentioned in his welcoming remarks, I think there are some misconceptions in terms of what are the rules for travel, if you can travel, if it's non-essential travel, if you can still visit Mexico in this case. So therefore, I hope that the information I can provide today will give you the confidence, like Tom also mentioned, to feel that you can travel and do it as safely as possible. Before I start talking about COVID-19 and what we're doing to help you travel, I also wanted to explain a little bit the relationship with Delta Airlines. So Delta is definitely their own airline. It's a separate entity from AeroMexico, but we do have what is called a joint cooperation agreement. And what that basically means is that Delta and AeroMexico have antitrust immunity for anything that pertains travel between the US and Mexico. That being
Jenny, you muted. You muted.
there.
There you
Did
are.
it on mute?
Yeah, you get excited and you start slamming your keyboard.
I start hitting everything on the computer.
Yeah.
So going about Delta, I was explaining that Delta and AeroMexico, before I go on to explain about COVID, we are what we call joint cooperation. We are under a joint cooperation agreement, which means that we have antitrust immunity for anything that pertains US-Mexico travel. And what that means is that we have an integrated product. Flights have shared inventory, and you're going to hear terminology that I think sometimes is confusing for the customers when we talk about code share flights. And what that basically means is that both airlines share the inventory on how those seats are sold. So for example, you go to AeroMexico's website or your travel agent and you want to travel, let's say, Atlanta, Mexico City. That flight is operated by Delta Airlines, but it can be also sold as an AeroMexico flight. It will have a notation that says that that flight is operated by Delta. So it enables passengers to be able to book it through Delta's channels or AeroMexico's channels. Likewise, in places that are considered, that are not considered hubs for Delta, like San Antonio, a San Antonio, Mexico City flight is actually operated by AeroMexico. But if you purchase your tickets through delta.com, you will find that flight commercialized as a Delta flight, but it will have a notation underneath that it says that it is operated by AeroMexico. So I kind of wanted to throw that out there so that if there's any questions regarding that type of relationship, what it means, it just makes your travel more seamless in terms of being able to book your flights and all the services that come along with it. So Delta has their own program for health and sanitation to keep the passengers safe. And if and AeroMexico, being that we're our own airline, do a very similar program. I will tell you from the get-go that the main difference will be that Delta is still blocking their middle seat through January 6, 2021. AeroMexico has chosen not to block the middle seats. There's a couple reasons for that. One is that not all of our flights are 737s or 787s. For example, in Texas, we operate with an Embraer 90, and that plane has 2 seats on each side. There is no middle seat, so we don't have to worry about that. But in general, for other cities where we do operate with larger aircraft, the reason being is that we feel that we do enough to protect the client, to ensure that their travel experience is safe. So that being said, we have had a lot of changes because of COVID-19. Definitely for a few months, there were flight operations that stopped, but I am happy to say that little by little, we see the US-Mexico travel growing again. And as the demand keeps growing, we keep adjusting our schedules to be able to meet that. So I can tell you right now that what we did in July, we had many more flights added in August, and every time we add a little bit more. We are being cautious, but we keep adding a little bit more. I don't know if you can show them the slide, Jorge, for the Delta AeroMexico network right now for US-Mexico.
Yes, I'm getting good at this. This is going to
Yay.
be this is going to be my my job for life now. I'm the official screen sharer. There you are.
There we go. Okay, thank you. That's great. Let me minimize this part. Okay, so what you see in here is the current operation for Delta and AeroMexico. So in the box where you see the map, the boxes that have the Delta logo, those are flights operated by Delta. So you're going to see that we have Los Angeles operating Cancun, Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, Cabo. We have Detroit to Mexico City, Cancun. We have Salt Lake City, Cancun, and Mexico. Atlanta is operating to Cancun, Mexico City, Monterrey, and Cabo. JFK, we're operating Mexico City and Cancun. And the box that says Mexico is all the flights that AeroMexico is operating between Guadalajara, Mexico City into the US. So for example, from Guadalajara, we operate to Los Angeles, Fresno, Chicago, and Sacramento. And Mexico City, we're currently operating Denver, Houston, Las Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Chicago, San Antonio, and San Francisco. So this is to show you, this is nowhere where we were back in April and May where everything had ceased. And we've come a long way to be able to put together this network for US-Mexico travel. You can close the slide, Jorge.
Thank
you. So going back to what we foresee, we see that the greatest opportunity for travel right now is probably US-Mexico, because of the fact that because of COVID, there are many countries that still have their borders closed. Mexico is not one of them in terms of air travel. So what you explained as well, Jorge, at the beginning, I thought it was very well done, is that there has been news media and there's been hype about the land borders having restrictions and only limited to essential travel, which applies to borders like, Laredo and Tijuana and Texas, Mexico, and California borders. But those restrictions do not apply to air. Like Jorge mentioned, you can always travel by air. There is no restriction as long as you have your proper documents to travel between both countries. You can travel by air and it's not restricted to essential travel. You will hear that essential travel is recommended because we want to make sure that people are traveling safely, but you can travel for any reason when it comes to air. Yeah.
Excellent.
So that being said, I have a small video that I would like to show you guys that summarize what I was going to tell you about how we are protecting our customers. And also Tom did a great job in explaining how the airport has put all the markings, all the signage to ensure that people are following the regulations to travel. I just went to the airport. That's why I was nodding when Tom was talking. I was at the airport on Monday because I wanted to observe the whole process. And I have to tell you that it was by the book. And actually, I was glad to also see, I was observing people as well. And people know that they have to be compliant if they want to travel. So everybody was on their best behavior. Everybody was following everything. So I was very pleased to see. And actually, there's quite a bit of people traveling out on Monday when I was there.
Wonderful.
So
Jenny,
if it's
before we get to the video,
tell me.
I'm sorry, before we get to the video, why can you explain to our audience why AeroMexico is considered a legacy carrier?
Yes. Well, AeroMexico is the flag carrier for the country of Mexico. It's been around for a very long time, since 1934. You will see other airlines that, of course, compete, that have what we call a low-cost model. That is not the model that AeroMexico follows. So that's why we're considered a legacy carrier. And our mission in life is, along with Delta, because now we share the market for Mexico with Delta, is to ensure that the travel experience is the best and that we meet our passengers' expectations the best way possible. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much. And now we go to the movies. So
let me go. Yeah, now I have to share screen, right?
You want me to do it? You want me to do it?
You want to try to do it? Go for it.
Yeah, let's try to do it. See, because that's what I was born to do. You can see it?
No, but I hear it.
Mexico. There is a...
You can't see it?
No.
All right, what do we do? You want to try to do it?
Yep. Okay, one moment, please.
Yeah. I don't know why that's happening.
At AeroMexico, there is a new way to travel. That is why we have created a new health and sanitization management system to take care of you and all of us. We conduct medical evaluations on all cruise and airport teams. We provide protective equipment. We align protocols with suppliers and authorities. We have antibacterial gel in all of our facilities. And we constantly sanitize all our equipment. All of our customers have their temperature scanned. And we conduct interviews with all our passengers. We have implemented a single boarding line. And we are constantly announcing preventive measures. At the apron, we are also safe. On board, we fully sanitize our cabin using an extensive sanitization process. We provide antibacterial gel on all of our flights. Snacks and beverages are individually packaged. All of our onboard items are delivered, sealed, and sanitized. Our crew uses protective equipment, and we announce our preventive measures on board. All of our aircraft have HEPA filters that eliminate 99.99% of viruses and bacteria. Your safety is our top priority.
All right, that was extraordinary. That was
Did it work?
extraordinary. Really, I enjoyed it.
Yay!
So, Jenny, you mentioned that the other day that now you don't get a cup of a beverage. You get the whole can.
Correct.
And
So
the reason?
the reason is that now, so unfortunately, because of the COVID, before when you would travel in AeroMexico, you would have usually a meal that came in a box, or was a hot meal, something that was cooked. Because of COVID, everything has to be individually wrapped, individually packaged. The same for the drinks. So now we can't pour the drink into a glass. So you have to get your own can or your own bottled water, your own soda. So
Or your bottle. I heard you get free bottles. You also get a bottle of tequila, a bottle of scotch, right? Because you can't do it individually, correct?
That's right.
I got it.
Everything
Good.
is individual. So one of the things that I do need to stress that has been also mentioned in Tom's presentation is that to be able to travel, it is mandatory to wear a mask throughout the flight, throughout the airport, as Tom had demonstrated in his presentation. If you don't have a mask, we can provide one when you arrive. They have them at the counters, whether at the check-in area or also at the gate area.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people on Monday wearing shields as well, some of the travelers, which I thought was good. But just know that if you wear a shield, you still have to wear the mask underneath. So definitely, it is mandatory to be able to travel, to have to wear it. The other thing that I liked, Jorge, is that everything is marked. The floor has all the markings where you need to stand to ensure social distancing between people, whether you're checking in at the counter
Wonderful.
or you're at the gate as well. The gate area also has the markings where you need to stand. The other thing is that when you're boarding, it's a different process as well. So when you're boarding, if the flight is boarded from the rear to the front. So, and they do it in small groups. Depending on how full the flight is, they will do them in groups of 5 rows or 7 rows. So for example, they'll start boarding row 27 through 21, row 21 through 15, for example. So that will ensure that the number of people standing in line is minimized and
Excellent.
people keeping their distance. So I thought that was really good because I was at the boarding area because I wanted to see it, and I didn't feel like I was overcrowded at all. And the other thing that we're doing is we do have a contactless thermometer. So people, while they're standing to do their boarding, there will be someone from AeroMexico checking temperatures on the forehead. There's no contact. It's a scanning thermometer. So if your temperature is 37.5 centigrades or higher, which is equivalent to 100.2 Fahrenheit, unfortunately, you will be asked to step aside and
You get sent
will
home.
not be allowed to board. Yeah, you'll be sent home, but we will help change the ticket to a different date, or you can just go home and then do it through the call center. All the flights are equipped with HEPA filters, and that's the reason why we feel it's safe to be on board the aircraft. They all have HEPA filters. HEPA filters guarantee to remove the microparticles and the viruses by up to 99% efficiency. The air circulates in the aircraft, by the way, every 1 to 3 minutes, and it goes where it gets sucked in from the bottom, comes in from the top. So it's a circular motion where the air is constantly recycling. So therefore, we feel that that also ensures that your risk at getting sick is very minimal, as long as you continue to have your mask on.
Wonderful.
The only time you're allowed to take off the mask is, of course, when you're drinking your drink or eating your meal. And then getting off the plane, that has changed as well. So when you're ready you land in the destination, and you're ready to deplane, you know, everybody used to get up and get their baggage down. That is no longer the case. You will hear announcements in the aircraft, and that will explain that they're going to go ahead and deplane by rows as well. So obviously the front of the cabin goes out first, the rear of the cabin will be last, but there will be a flight attendant directing the customer when they can get up to pick up their baggage and to exit the aircraft. So it's super, super organized. And we hope that people knowing this know that if they need to travel, it is okay to travel, as long as everybody follows the rules, right?
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate you so much, Jen. Thank you. It's always good to be with you, and we'll continue on with our projects together. It's our pleasure, dear. We have tons of questions, and I don't know where Tom went. Has anyone seen Tom? He's not online for some reason, but we have to go forward with the questions. Doug Brunke is asking. Tom Brunke is our chairman, by the way. He's our main person. He's our chair of the whole organization. Doug is asking, how do you handle folks who are less enlightened about protecting others at the airport? Can you answer that, Jenny? I don't see Tom.
Well, basically, that's why we're doing these kind of talks today, to ensure that people already anticipate what is expected to them when they arrive at the airport. And I think the airport has done a great job in also being out there and getting it out to the public. But if we do find someone who doesn't want to follow protocol, they will be explained. It will be explained to them that unfortunately, without being able to wear the mask, they're not able to board their flight. And they have the option of doing it, or they would have to leave. We haven't encountered any unruly behavior at this point, to my knowledge. So hopefully we won't, because, you know, at the end of the day, what's the point to have that kind of behavior if it's going to cost you not being able to travel when you need to? So I think that people understand that either you do it or just don't travel.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Stephanie Austin is asking, what cleaning products are you using for the plexiglass? I'm asking because many organizations have had issues with other cleaning products with it fogging the plexiglass.
That I wouldn't know. I think it would be better suited for Tom to answer, since he oversees the airport operations.
We can get back to Stephanie.
But Stephanie, I was there on Monday, and the plexiglass looked really shiny everywhere I went, which was kind of, I mean, people were not touching it either, which I thought it was good. I didn't see smudges. I didn't see fogginess on the plexiglass. So whatever they're using, it's working.
Stephanie's on our payroll because she has another question. She was planted here. It says, what is the strategy for people who refuse to wear masks for personal and not health reasons? Is there a script in place for the staff to encourage clients to wear a mask? Good question.
There is. That's a good question. If they have a medical reason, unfortunately, it is mandatory to have, because even if you have a reason, if you can't wear a mask, you put someone else around you at risk, and we can't take that chance. So if you're not able to travel, then you would, I mean, for whatever reason, we would definitely, you know, reissue the ticket or, you know, give you a credit for future travel. But unfortunately, we would not be able to allow you to board.
Thank you, dear. Parentheses, there was a power issue. We lost Tom because there's a power issue on the phone system. So he's on the phone. Cesar, are you listening to us? Cesar, Tom got on the phone. We have to unmute his phone somehow. They're telling me it's muted. So if Cesar, if you're on there, you can help us do that while we go forward. I would appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for that. There he goes. Tom is on. Hi, Tom. It's still muted. It's muted. We have to mute that phone. There we go. Hello, Tom.
Hi, how are you? Sorry about that. I dropped off for a bit.
No worries.
But I'm back.
I'm glad you sound much better, and we have a lot of good questions.
Okay.
All right. So the next question, also, by the way, Stephanie Austin is very appreciative of the drive-up movie idea. She thinks it's a great idea. And in fact, Tom, I'll talk to you later. I have some ideas about that myself. But the next question is it's for those who may not have English as their first language. Will there be a plethora of languages available for translation for mobile ordering, mobile accessibility? Thank you for this informative presentation. And this is from La Juana Chambers Lawson.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly on the technology used, but I'm sure there will be multi-languages that they could order from. And just to highlight that too, our signage, we do have in both English and Spanish.
Yes, of course. Wonderful. And now from another person, just thanks us for the efforts, best in class in my experience. Kudos to all. Thank you very much for that. Doug Brunke again asks, how do you specially handle inbound passengers from other countries, including those with third country passports? Where do you predict the air travel will reach 80% of normal? 100%. When will it reach that?
Let's say the 100%. Again, it's almost a day by day where we get the forecast. You saw on the presentation that we did have that slowdown in July, and we're about 62% lower. I don't know. We're just going to have to watch and see how successful everybody is with curtailing the pandemic. But we want to be at 100% as quickly as possible. But I still think we're probably at least a year out. But optimistically, let's get there quicker.
Of course. And his first part of the question is, how do you specially handle inbound passengers from other countries, including those with third country passports? That's a question.
Yeah, it's more CBP, but everything should be handled the same way as it always has been. I'm not aware of any special CBP, any restrictions or different handling. Maybe Jennifer has an idea, but I don't have an answer for that specifically, what they're doing.
Go ahead, Jenny.
No, very quickly. So somebody had asked me a question regarding also what happens when they come in through customs. When I was there on Monday and I spoke to our operations team, my understanding is, in other words, all the filters in place to determine if you can travel and you're okay to travel, by doing the temperature checks and having your mask and whatnot, that's done prior to travel. Once you arrive into customs, to my knowledge, there is no filters as to, nobody's taking your temperature or anything. The only reason you would not be allowed to stay is if you're not complying with the required documents, or if you expire, for example, your maximum stay, if you have a travel visa has expired, then you can't stay. But in terms of COVID, to my knowledge, there's nothing else being done by the immigration people. I hope that helps.
Of course, yes, thank you. Doug Brunke again asks, this is for Jenny, what special tips do you have for travelers to Mexico and those traveling beyond Mexico?
All right, give me one sec. So in terms of, I think basically the things that we mentioned, be prepared, have your mask with you. There are gels, sanitizers throughout the entire airport. And not only in the US, but I saw a question in there about Mexico City. The Mexico City hub It's the same way. They have gel everywhere you go. What I will tell you guys, for people departing from Mexico to the US, if you've traveled to Mexico City, it's a huge airport and there's a lot of people starting to travel again. So I would recommend that you be at the airport 2 to 3 hours prior to the flight time, because it is taking longer for people to check in. If you have to keep social distancing, it is taking longer, you know, to board the flight. So definitely we are recommending people to still be 2 to 3 hours prior to flight time to check in.
Jennifer, while I know that PPE is very important, what's your caution to travelers who are going to pack PPE material? I mean, you know, people will carry their own gel, and so are they still limited to the same size so
Good
they
question.
don't get their gel thrown away at the airport security?
Yeah, and actually I saw a passenger that, it's curious that you say that, because we ran, a gentleman came up to me thinking that, you know, I was part of the airport team, asking me if he was going to be able to get through, because he was bringing like an 8-ounce gel bottle. And to go through security, you still have to follow the same restrictions, where anything that it's gel or liquid cannot be more than 3 ounces. So, you know, carry the small ones, you know, the travel size ones, but anything that is more than 3 or 3.5 ounces, they will ask you to discard it. So, but yeah, I had
So
to, the gentleman had to leave it behind.
did you confiscate the bottle from him? What's that in the background I see there?
Where? No.
Very good.
No.
Okay. Next question. No, well, okay. Okay. We appreciate our dear friend Alejandra Bueno, board member of the Global Chamber. She runs the international department at Alamo Colleges. She appreciates our webinar and says it's very good information. She sends kudos to all. We appreciate Alejandra as well. Let me see here. We have another question from a person. It says, Jenny, are you guys doing contactless at the Mexico City airport? Also, I've
Yes.
seen conflicting messages regarding cancellation and change flexibility policies. Are they the same for domestic and international flights?
Okay, that's a very good question. I just, in our chat, I put in our website link so that everyone can see it. When you go into the website, it will give you all the specifications for what we call our flexibility policy. So in terms of, and I know there's been a lot of hype because United and all the airlines advertised that they were going to do away with the change fees forever. But mind you, that was for domestic travel. Now for international travel, we are waiving the change fees right now. And actually what they are allowing you to change the date, you can change even the destination. There won't be a change fee. If there is a fare difference because you're choosing something different and the fare is different from when you originally bought it, you might have to pay fare difference, but there are no change fees to make a change. With AeroMexico, you can travel, if you change your ticket, you have up to September 30th, 2021 to travel. It's been extended. But I would definitely recommend that before you travel, you go to the link I just provided, because anything in terms of scheduling, flexibility of changing tickets, until when you can travel, what, you know, how good are the tickets for, how long, that's all in the website in there. And it's something that can change. I think we get COVID updates almost every day. So definitely before traveling, always check with the airline for their COVID updates. In terms of Mexico City, pretty much what we discussed today, you will see it in Mexico City as well. The only thing is that, like I said, Mexico City is a very big airport. A lot of people travel from different places. So I would definitely encourage, like, to be at the airport of Mexico City at least 3 hours before. but they are doing everything as contactless as possible. They have gel sanitizers all over the place. The mask is required also for all travelers who are at the airport in all public areas. So definitely, I feel that they're being just as efficient as what we saw today and what we talked about San Antonio as well.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. Our board member, Lily Gindi, also has a question. Lily asks, how different are those steps taken to ensure the safety for travelers from flying internationally? How different are those steps taken to ensure the safety for travelers from flying internationally?
Well, I can't speak for other countries. I can only speak for what is being done in Mexico. And Mexico, like I mentioned, for the airport safety, they're doing, at least AeroMexico is doing exactly the same that you saw today in the video. So whether you're flying from Cancun or you're flying from Puerto Vallarta or you're flying from Mexico City, the airports in Mexico, regardless of not just Mexico City, at other destinations, they are following the same protocols. For AeroMexico, it's actually a process, and it's what we call the health and sanitization management system. So it's something that it's not just being done in the US, it's across the board anywhere we fly.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we have also now another message from La Juana Chambers. She's thanking us for this wonderful event. She says she has had to help with translations at SAT previously and appreciates the airport for being considerate on how to be accessible and inclusive tech-wise. Some essential travelers that she spoke to recently asked if additional languages like French, Portuguese, Creole, Pidgin from different places like Nigeria, Cameroon, Sri Lanka could also be offered on mobile apps for ordering support, etc. Tom, would you like to answer this question?
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll take this input, and when we get into this mobile app, we'll make sure that message is conveyed to the concessionaires that really should have multiple languages.
Okay, well, we are at the end of our program, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate all the audience who made time to be with us today, especially you, Tom. You did a wonderful job, and you know that I'm the airport's biggest fan, and I appreciate you for being here. Jenny, you as well. We will continue to conspire and come up with crazy ideas that always work.
Yes.
And my dear friend Christopher Herring, we are also in a conspiracy mode with new projects with the Chamber. And thank you very much, Cesar, for setting this up for us. We wouldn't be able to do these things without your expertise. And also our chair, Doug, thank you for being with us. And everyone have a good weekend. We will be back soon with more programs. Thank you very much, everybody.
Jorge?
Good afternoon. Yes?
Yeah,
Sorry.
let me just say that we do have an event that's coming up. It's going to be an event that's called International State of Metro.
That's
and,
correct.
I'm just sharing my screen so you can see the event. It's going to be on October the 2nd. The mayor of San Antonio, Ron Nirenberg, will be our speaker. We'll be honoring our current chair, Dr. Crystal Nedio, also Peter Grabick, who's been serving on our board.
Excellent.
We're looking at honoring those who have actually communicated about our business, to include the Business Journal. And, you know, we really have one global brand that really sticks out, and that's the Spurs Sports and Entertainment. So we should have a really great event. It's on our globalchamber.org. Go to the events tab and go ahead and reserve your tickets. It's going to be a sellout. It's going to be great. And again, we thank you so much. Thank you, Jorge, for being the great moderator that you are, and our chair-elect. And again, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate each of you. We say at the Global Chamber to be global and be unstoppable. So you do that today. Thank you again, Jennifer. Thank you, Tom, for your expertise today. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.